Pay attention to the woman leaving the bar in this footage. It was recorded in Carlsbad, New Mexico on March 1st, 2014. This is 30-year-old mother of two, Emily Lambert. It may look like any other evening being captured by the bar's security system, but this footage hides a disturbing secret. Mere hours after it was recorded, Emily disappeared, and somehow, no one from the bar saw what might have happened to her. Besides this video surveillance, the only clue police were able to recover was this haunting, half-corrupted audio recording. The year is 2014. Emily Lambert, a 30-year-old woman, teaches at an elementary school in Dallas, Texas. Her boyfriend, Robert Early, is employed in an oil field far away in Carlsbad, New Mexico. Despite living in different states, they've been dating for 8 months.
When Emily first met Robert, she had added him on Facebook. They had mutual friends in common, and she thought he was somebody else. And they went to a bonfire party, and they met, and there was an instant attraction.
Emily seemed really happy with Robert. One of the things that Emily really liked about Robert was that the children were really attracted to him. He was really good with them.
Emily has 2 daughters from her first marriage, and Robert enjoys spending time with them. On the weekend of February 28th, they decide to spend time together. After a long drive that takes 8 hours, Emily comes to Robert's place in New Mexico.
Emily called me on Saturday from Carlsbad. She sounded really happy, like she was having a nice time.
A day later, things take a disturbing turn for the worse when Emily's mother receives a worried phone call from Robert.
On Sunday morning when we got out of church, I had a message from Robert on my phone that said to call him. I said, "Robert, what's going on? What's the bottom line?" And he said, "Emily is missing." He was telling me that they had gone to the bar and they were having a good time, and that Emily had left and he didn't know where she had gone.
She asks Robert to contact the police immediately, and just a little after noon, he calls 911.
911, what is your emergency?
Yes, my girlfriend left last night. We were at the Stevens Bar and I was staying in the hotel there, and she hasn't made it back to the hotel.
What is your name?
Emily Lambert.
Emily's parents quickly set off on the drive to Carlsbad, determined to find out what's going on. With Emily's daughters in tow for the weekend, they take them too. In the 8-hour drive that follows, they can't stop worrying with every worst-case scenario they can imagine.
I'm thinking either some maniac's gotten her, she's been hit by a car and in a hospital and no ID, she's chained up somewhere, with the gangs and cartels along the border.
In the meantime, the local detectives rush over to Robert's room, determined to find more details about what happened the day before. Robert explains that they had dinner at a few local spots. He shares that afterward, they visited the motel's bar and enjoyed a few drinks. When they check out the room, the detectives see Emily's clothes still neatly folded, her cell phone on the nightstand, her vehicle parked outside, and her purse still inside the car. After a quick questioning, detectives find out that Robert went back to his room and fell asleep after a couple of drinks, convinced that Emily would return. But when he woke up, she was nowhere to be seen. For now, detectives decide they're done questioning Robert and instead head over to the motel. There, they hope to find answers by checking the security cameras.
Surveillance video doesn't lie to you. It's going to tell you the truth every time you watch it.
There are no security cameras at the hotel, but when they walk up to the bar in the lobby, they spot a camera pointed straight at the entrance of the bar. Following this, they rewind back through the footage to just a few minutes before Robert claimed that Emily left the bar.
I wanted to observe whether anybody left with Emily, whether Robert was with her when they left.
At around 11:30 p.m., they spot her leaving in a hurry.
It's Emily Lambert leaving by herself. The way she walked out, it was very apparent there was something wrong. Her body language was, "I want to get somewhere fast," very upset looking, and her focus was straight ahead.
There aren't any cameras outside the hotel, and there's no witnesses, so the detectives don't know where she went after the bar. In the meantime, another detective meets Emily's parents and her kids at the station.
Detective Rennie was one of the very first ones that we
Right.
talked with. We understand that from the time that he got on the case, he didn't sleep. We left the police department, with their assurances that they were going to find her.
The youngest one looked at me and said, "My mommy's just lost and you're gonna bring her home, right?" And at that point, I told the child, yes, I'm gonna do my best to bring her home.
Right after that, Robert shows up at the station to give the full statement. He isn't under arrest at the moment, so he's free to head home whenever he feels like it.
I met her in November and we've pretty much been inseparable since. I mean, I moved in, like really, I guess officially December. But we pretty much, her parents went out of town, we stayed at her parents' house, she stayed at my mom's house.
Throughout the questioning, Robert remains calm and helpful. He carefully recounts how the two of them met and the exact things they did yesterday before she went missing.
And then we went from there to Roswell. From Roswell, we went to a place called Tijuana's, and we had fajitas, and I had 2 margaritas and she had 1. And then we went from there to a place called Farley's. It was her last night in town.
On his phone, investigators find photos that show places they've been, which strongly supports what Robert says. Following this, he mentions a weird man who started flirting with Emily at the bar. He explains how she was wearing a really short skirt, and every time she leaned over to grab a drink, the man stood right behind her, blocking the view.
She came back and said, "Hey, this guy said, if he's not taking care of you good, I'll take you home." Some strange dude. I'm like, whatever, Emily, if that's what you want, go ahead and go. She didn't get the response from me she wanted. Fuck you, then I'm leaving. I figured she's gonna go smoke. She's gonna blow off some steam. She'll be cool. And so that's when I left. Right when I started thinking that.
He says he never saw her leave with another man, though she was chatting about someone else. He explains how he walked out of the bar alone and headed straight to the motel, leaving her behind.
You just don't seem the type of person to me that the girl comes up and says, "Fuck you," and turns around and walks off and you let that happen. You don't strike me as that type, dude. You just don't.
The detectives have their doubts because he's the last person to see Emily before she disappeared. When they ask him about his temper, he insists he's never been violent. However, once they reach out to his ex-wife and an ex-girlfriend, a different picture starts to form. They both say he's not as calm as he claims. With that information, the detectives begin to see some troubling signs that make them question everything he's told them.
What's your gut telling you right now?
Yesterday I was having really, really bad tingly feelings, and that I just hope she's okay.
I'm not asking you what you hope. That's what's your gut feeling right now.
I honestly think that she got involved with some wrong people and she's either hurt or trapped or somebody's got her and not letting her go. And then otherwise, why wouldn't she be back?
The detective wonders if Robert is hiding something. To get to the truth, he asks Robert to take a lie detector test, which he agrees to without any hesitation. The detective wants to see if he's showing any deception and wants to find out what exactly Robert might be keeping from him.
Emily Lambert is your girlfriend, the one that you were with Saturday night, is that correct?
Yes.
Do you know where Emily Lambert is located?
No.
Do you know where Emily Lambert is located right now?
No.
I had my doubts. My thoughts were definitely that he's involved some way or another. Him agreeing to do a polygraph, we figured this would be the best tool to give us a direction.
Roberts keeps his composure during the entire test, showing no sign of worry. But as soon as the test scores come out, it's obvious he didn't pass. The moment he sees the results, he insists there has to be a mistake and demands a retest. This twist changes his position from a witness to a suspect. In the meantime, the other detective goes to the motel, hoping to find someone who can provide new details on Emily's disappearance. They talk to the guest staying right next to Robert's room. This guest remembers hearing a loud fight between Robert and Emily during the night. However, Robert told the detectives that Emily never entered the room that night. Armed with this new lead, the detectives confront Robert. He then admits that they had a drunken argument.
She was wanting to drive. That's what started the whole altercation. It was like, I'm getting my and I'm leaving. we're done, it's over, I'm leaving you, this and that. And I was like, really?
He says that Emily then suddenly left the room, and he noticed she went straight to her car. But then he caught sight of some strange guy driving up and stopping right next to her.
I see her sitting in her car, and another dude pull up. Dude, whitish, white truck. Emily jump out and gets in his ride.
The investigation now has a clear objective: find the white truck and find Emily Lambert. Robert describes the truck as a typical four-wheel drive, but he isn't able to identify the driver. All he remembers is that the guy was very big and that he had a cowboy hat. He claims he followed the white truck into the countryside. After a while, the white truck parked and Robert stopped right beside them.
And I pull up. We start, beeping, and he comes running at me with a pipe. She jumps in front. Bah!
Where'd he hit her?
Right in the head. And I was like, oh! And he comes at me. I just got in the car. It's burned out. I didn't know if he was going back to get a gun, if he was going to come back and shoot me for being there. So I left. But I really figured y'all would end up finding the guy, or he dropped her off at the hospital or something would happen.
Given this new clue, the detective begins to wonder if Robert is holding back more facts about Emily's disappearance. Determined to uncover the whole truth, he continues pressing Robert, urging him to come clean.
You know more than you're saying, because you just gave us more information. Whether it's true or not, I kind of think it's half-assed bullshit, okay? I'm not trying to be an ass to you, but we're dealing with life here, buddy. We're dealing with someone's life.
I know.
We're not here to hammer on you. We're here to get the truth so we can possibly do something to help her. This isn't our first time to deal with this.
Yet, Robert keeps holding on to this story, saying he truly believes that's what really happened. He tells everyone that he's been scared all along, fearing that Emily might be lying in a hospital somewhere or locked up in an old barn.
The only part that was believable was the fact of where the house was. If he knows where the house is, show us the house. There's always a hope that you're gonna find the person alive.
The detectives are convinced that if they can locate the house Robert keeps mentioning, they might stumble upon crucial clues or even discover the man in the cowboy hat. So, they pile into their search, with Robert leading them to the place. Anxious about what they might uncover, they instruct Robert to stay behind by the car. As they explore, their eyes catch sight of two distinct drag marks that lead away from the road, heading behind the old house. Consequently, they decide to follow those marks.
I continue to walk down the road, and it kind of just wraps around an old tin building. As I walk around that building and I look up towards the north there, I can see an obvious body. It's a pretty bad scene, a lot of blood, especially around the head area.
It's Emily Lambert. Her body is discovered abandoned in an open field, left behind like trash. She has severe injuries all over her body. Authorities find out that her body was dragged nearly 500 feet before reaching its final spot. This discovery instantly turns the missing person search into a homicide investigation. When officers go back to share what they've found with Robert, he appears shocked, but shows little real emotion.
He just looked at me, kind of ducked his head, and continued smoking. I told the lieutenant that, hey, I'm gonna go back to the station, try to find out the rest of the story. The lieutenant looks at me and says, you think that's a good idea? I was probably a wreck at that point.
The detectives feel their emotions might be getting in the way of their investigation. They decide it's time for someone new to take over the questioning of Robert. By bringing in a new face, someone who can connect with Robert in a new way, they hope to get the truth. In the meantime, other investigators head to a Walmart located near the area where Emily's body was discovered. This store has a security camera pointed right at the highway. Their goal is to see if they can catch a glimpse of a white truck, which would back up Robert's account. The store manager lets them know that the camera is always recording and that the tapes stay there. They carefully roll back the footage to when Emily leaves the bar. About 30 minutes after that moment, they finally see something.
We did see a white truck pull into the parking lot. It goes over by the gas pumps. We can't see occupants in the vehicle. We can't see a license plate. No real details of the vehicle.
The police think Emily might be in the pickup truck, possibly with a driver she met at the hotel that night. They hurry back to the station, eager to check the bar's security cameras. They're determined to find out if anyone from the video was driving that white truck. At 9:30 p.m., Robert heads out of the bar on his own, while Emily stays behind. Soon after, a stranger approaches her and starts chatting.
The video was very dark. It was very frustrating. He stays in the shadow the whole time.
The investigators snap a photo from the security footage and make their way to the hotel, hoping someone might know the man seen in the bar. Eventually, they learn that the man is Gabriel Jaime, Robert's employer. Quickly, they bring Gabriel in for a thorough questioning. Gabriel admits to being the man in the video, yet insists he was at the bar when Emily was killed. The hotel staff backs up his statement. After that, the detectives return to the footage of the bar, determined to locate the man in the cowboy hat. But no one matching that description appears in the video. Instead, they notice 3 men watching Robert make a scene off the camera.
The 3 guys that are watching him are kind of taken aback by what he's actually doing. They're kind of looking at him like, "Well, what are you talking about over there?" Which kind of piqued our interest.
Back in the station, a new detective starts questioning Robert, now sure he must be hiding something.
I'm not married for a reason. It's because I'm a hoe bag. All right, straight up. And it's because I've been in different relationships and stuff, man. So I know how shit goes, and it can get real heated. You can get jealous. Jealousy is a powerful thing, man, especially when you're drunk.
He tries to relate to Robert, talking to him like his friend, and wants him to understand that he understands how it is to be drunk, and maybe not be in control of your emotions.
Does the severity of the crime, is there, if I, to not including myself in saying I'm saying anything, but from your standpoint, would I ever see my kid again?
Robert's voice becomes shaky, clearly giving away his anxiety.
Go smoke a cigarette, then I'm tired of it, dude. God, I have it on my chest. Let's go burn one, come back in there, and you'll tell me everything. Then I can remember.
The detective can see that Robert is on the verge of sharing something big, so he lets him step outside for a smoke. Hoping to catch any extra details, the detective brings a small tape recorder along. As the 2 of them stand there, Robert begins to tell him what happened.
I kicked her with my steel toe.
You said you kicked her?
I kicked her with the steel toe. Which times when she was out, and I was like, freaking out. I didn't know what to do.
And I was stressed out because just in case the recording wasn't going, I needed to take him back inside and recap it in front of the camera.
Let's start from the beginning, man. And no bullshit, no nothing, okay?
Finally, Robert reveals the truth to the detective on the camera.
When we were having drinks and shots, playing pool, we danced, everything was cool. She started getting hit on a lot. She started trying to make me jealous with it.
As the tension grew, Roberts began to feel a lot of jealousy, and their conversation turned into an argument. After a while, Emily made up her mind to leave the bar.
Whatever. If that's what you want, go ahead and leave. And then when she said fuck you and left.
At 11:30 in the evening, Emily stormed out of the bar and headed straight for her room. Robert followed closely behind her, but he found the door firmly locked. Determined, he rushed to the reception, asked for another key, and unlocked the door. As soon as he stepped inside, the argument flared up once again.
She was like, I'm getting my shit, I'm leaving. We're done, it's over, I'm leaving you, this and that. And I was like, really? And then she was wanting to drive. That's what started the whole altercation in the room. She wanted to drink and drive all the way back to Fort Worth. I said, no, you're not leaving. She started going crazy with me, and we started, pushing around, and that's when she grabbed my arm and bit the hell out of me.
At that moment, he turned aggressive. He jumped up and began kicking her over and over. Despite being kicked so many times, she managed to get back on her feet, only for him to kick her once again.
She was still okay. She got up. And I was like, what? I was pretty shocked. I was able to get her down, and she was crazy. I was tripping out. I didn't know what was going on, and then I kicked her again there.
Where'd you kick her that time?
I think in the face.
Okay.
While describing the events, he stays collected, showing no emotion. He then explains how he placed her in the car and took off toward the open field. When they arrived, Emily tried to resist, but he quickly bound a rope around her neck and tied it to the vehicle. He then started pulling her along for over 500 feet.
The manner of death was blunt force trauma to the head. They determined that after dragging her with the rope that she was still alive because the injuries sustained while she was being drugged by the vehicle, she was bleeding at that point, so the heart was still pumping. And then he hits her in the back of the head with the pump till she's deceased.
After that, he simply left her there and fabricated a story about a man in a cowboy hat, attempting to cover up his actions. Hearing his confession, the police swiftly place him in handcuffs. As he waits for the trial to begin, the prosecutors make the decision to pursue life in prison without parole. They must prove that when he drove her to that isolated spot and she was still breathing, he had taken her against her will and intended to kill her. During the trial, prosecutors present a stunning piece of evidence that reveals what Emily's final words were.
The hardest part for me during the trial was to find Robert pocketed his phone, and I guess it made a call to Emily's phone and recorded, I guess, what were her last words. It was hard. It was really hard.
On May 15th, 2015, the jury reaches a decision in only a few hours. They convict Robert Early of first-degree kidnapping and murder. As a result, the judge orders Robert Early to spend the rest of his life in prison with no chance of parole.
It was a very emotional time. It's the first time that I've ever told a child that I was going to bring the parent home, when in fact I brought them home, but they were deceased. So it hit home pretty hard and continues to this day.
Life without Emily is difficult. It's just really tough most days.
You never get really used to losing a child. I think that's probably the hardest thing.